It's finally time, everyone. I have made some space in my calendar to sit down and make this YouTube video that I've been overpromising for the last, I don't know, like 2-3 years. I'm finally on vacation, so I thought might as well, right? So if you have nothing better to do and you have more than 30 minutes to waste, set this in the background while you hear me talk about nonsense and you get to do your chores. But if you do want to watch this video, I will just be watercoloring an Instagram photo that I took with some paint that I bought from the store called Monami in South Korea. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening if you're watching and wondering what the hell is going on. It's me just using the time to fill up the space with audio. But I digress. What I'll be doing with this YouTube channel is trying to update everyone what I have been up to, what I'm currently up to, and what I will be up to if there's time. But I noticed that every time I meet up with my friends, everyone seems a little bit lost as to what I've been doing with my life. And frankly, I don't know either. But the main format of content that I will be uploading are vlogs from time to time. This one is just kind of like a explanation as to what's going to be going on, but I feel like vlogs are generally entertaining to watch, and I would like to believe that I go to some interesting spots on vacation or in general because of the line of work that I've been doing. And other formats that I'm interested in exploring are doing reviews for TV and film, but not just any type. I want to kind of focus on K-dramas and films coming out of South Korea because it's what I've been dedicating kind of like the entirety of my career for the past couple of years. So I would like to believe that I have some type of knowledge on what I'm talking about. If not even that, I just want to use it to promote my friends who do work in the Korean entertainment industry as both like actors and actresses, videographers, producers, and things of that nature. So yeah, like there are some projects out there that some of you might have watched, and I would want to highlight them because of the amazing work that they've been doing. But since this is a really long 30-minute video, I think it would be appropriate to kind of just run it back to graduating and making it to the point where I am now. I'm not going to get into the details, obviously, because you can't crunch 10 years in 30 minutes, but just bringing people up to speed as to my life. So yeah, after graduating college, I ended up working in a call center. I ended up working in a call center for about 6 months because it was something to do at the time. It was employment, and I really, really did not like it. I ended up getting yelled at like 3 months into this because customers were just not happy with the script that we were given, to the point that one of them actually made me cry, even though I had my manager next to me kind of feeding me all the lines and me repeating them verbatim. The customer just was not having it and ended up coming to the call center, busting the door down and just yelling at everybody. But luckily, my manager was there to kind of handle the situation and de-escalate everything. Nothing crazy happened, but I don't know, just getting demeaned over the phone and being asked if you're capable of doing anything right is not the best. So I quickly wanted to quit that job and had actually approached my mom on whether or not it was okay for me to return to South Korea at the time, because I had previously been going back for its program that I was part of, which was a student leadership program in college, where we would travel to South Korea with a total of like 50 students, 25 from around the US and 25 from around South Korea. And we got to learn about the cultural and political dynamics of the two countries and how they've changed and collaborated over the years, which was really fun. I felt like the program really impacted me in a very strong way, to the point where I wanted to go back and learn more about just like the language, and also kind of reconnect with the friends that I made there, that I have like to this day, 10 years later. Some of them have gotten married, some of them have had children, some of them have even become like the higher ups of Korean entertainment companies, which I will get into a little bit later in another video. But yeah, like the program was great. Had a very large group of people that otherwise wouldn't be brought together. And so because of that program, I wanted to go back to Korea and formally learn Korean, aside from just like the education that I've had previously. And yeah, like my mom was nice enough, was like to say yes and allow me to go back to sign up in a language intensive program for 6 months, which was really fun. Not sure if everybody knows, but I went to the Sogang University, which is in the Sinchon area, I believe. This area is kind of like the tri-state area of Seoul's major colleges, because there's like 4 within a very small vicinity of each other. And I chose that campus because it was known to have a great speaking program for Korean. I wasn't necessarily interested in reading and writing, or taking the government test called the TOPIK exam, where you're like legally measured on your fluency, and you take a state test and you get a certification legitimizing your level of fluency. I just wanted to talk. And so I enrolled in the program for 6 months and got to meet some of the best people I've come to know to this day. Like some of them were coming out of Japan, some out of Taiwan, some out of mainland China, some out of Thailand, and some of them from Latin America. Like my housemate was from Mexico City. And it was fun. Like we got to all speak in Korean to each other, because some students just genuinely didn't learn English back in their home countries because it's not needed as a second language. So it was just really fun to kind of use a language that we're not born to use as something to communicate with. And it was fun. I had originally wanted to learn Korean as well, because I wanted to work in Seoul for a company that wasn't English, that wasn't an English teaching job, because I honestly didn't have any interest in teaching children. Not that I have anything against them, it's just that I don't want to make the excuse to teach English just to stay in the country. So after a while, I ended up trying to apply and learned that there was actually an H1 visa that students who had recently graduated can apply for so that you can get a legitimate job instead of just applying to be an English teacher, which I wish I would have known, but by the time the 6 months were up, I had to go back to the States and I couldn't apply for that visa anymore. In order to apply for it, you would have to apply for it outside of the country, and then once approved, enter Korea and then be applying to companies that are willing to sponsor it. So yeah, that happened, and I ended up returning back to the US, and I unfortunately couldn't find a job. But until one day I saw that there was this opening at one of Korea's top 3 broadcasting corporations, and they coincidentally needed someone that spoke English, Spanish, and Korean, which I more or less could do. And they needed someone to help with content licensing and distribution. So it couldn't have been a better calling. I unfortunately didn't get it on the first go. To my detriment, I was really bummed out and had decided to move up to the Bay Area after I got declined. But on that Friday before moving up, I had received a text message asking if I was still interested in the position after I had been declined a week later. And of course, I said yes. I'm more than happy to show up. And I ended up going the following Monday for the interview in person in downtown LA. It went well. It was very informal. I think the manager at the time just really needed someone to perform these tasks because needing someone to speak English, Korean, and Spanish is a very particular niche, and they just wanted to see what I knew about Korea. Have I ever worked in a Korean office or company, and was able to pick up the context, and I was like, they liked what they saw and they hired me. And from there, I kind of stayed for 3 years, helping the company license their shows to studios in the US, in Latin America, and also, in addition to licensing, I worked on dubbing contracts where we would dub these shows that were in Korean fully into Spanish, and then have them broadcasted in Latin America, like countries like Mexico or Peru or Colombia, and it was fun. It was really fun. That allowed me the opportunity to travel a lot within those 3 years. I was able to go to Miami for conferences, to Cancun, to Mexico City, to Colombia, Peru, Brazil, Argentina, you name it. I got to go to a handful of countries on the company's dime, which was amazing. And this was all happening while I was, I think, 25. So it was really cool. It was really nice. It was a great first job experience. But slowly I ended up getting kind of burnt out working at the company, because Korean companies are hardcore. But I will kind of dive deeper into Korean working culture in another video. Just know that, it was a lot. And I finally ended up quitting that job and went on a 2-month vacation to visit friends and family that were out in Europe. I got to hang out in France for a little bit. I went to go to Spain for about a week or two, and finally finished the trip in Italy. meeting another friend that I had actually met a couple years prior at that language academy at Sogang in Korea, which was, it kind of like came full circle, and I loved every moment of it. I have amazing memories. Mariana, if you're watching this video, shout out to having such a great classmate, and also the limoncello recipe that you gave us, to me and my housemate. It was amazing, and I can't wait to try it again when I get more, Mayor lemons next year. But yeah, once those 2 months were kind of over and I moved back, I was searching for another job. And what had ended up happening was that my old HR manager at the broadcasting company had originally left 2 to 3 months before I had quit to another company. It was a subsidiary streaming company that belonged to the broadcaster, and they luckily reached out to me at the perfect time, asking like, hey, we have an opening in the BD department, would you care to join? Because it was a little bit similar to the licensing and distribution role that I had initially, where I was reading contracts, I was making sure that the agreement forms were written correctly and made sense before, upper management signed them. And I said yes, because it was not too big of a leap from the broadcasting company to this streaming company where I was working at. I was working in that for a little bit, and then the role kind of shifted over into marketing once the partnerships were kind of set in stone. And then I helped with a different manager kind of expand the marketing aspect of the company. We got to, or at least I got to play around with all of our content, which was like K-dramas, K-pop, variety programs, and just published it out to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And it was fun. Who can hate getting paid to watch these shows, to be honest? And from there, it was just kind of repetitive after a while. And even though it was repetitive, the pandemic broke out. Yeah, the pandemic broke out, and I was already maybe about 2 years into the company, and now we were being told that we are working remote because we couldn't come into the office anymore. Originally, we thought that it was going to last maybe like a month, but then 1 month turned to 2 months, 2 months turned to 3 months, and we were just never leaving the house. So what I ended up doing was asking my manager if it was okay for me to just move back home with my mom to save rent, because it seemed like we were going in it for the long haul, the remote situation. And yeah, they agreed. They said, sure, just make sure that once we have to get called back into the office, you're ready to move back to an apartment and show up, which to me was fair. I was already finishing up my yearly lease at the apartment and had been just paying month to month at that point. So it made sense for me to just cancel that and move back home, since I had already managed to save some money out of it. And I continued to work for this company for about another year while working in remote. And then again, I got burnt out and decided to finally quit for the 3rd time. By this point, you're probably asking yourself that I can't keep a job, but hey, what can I say? I ended up leaving that place, and was job hunting for the next 5 months, I ended up making the stupidest decision of moving back to LA in hopes of landing a job, because me thinking like, hey, I'll be closer. For an interview, I can make it work. And I paid rent without being employed, and finally had run out of my savings. And on that final month, I really was at wit's end, because I was interviewing at companies like YouTube, at HBO Max, at Google, Roku, a lot of entertainment companies, and I would make it towards the end, the final stages, but just never managed to be given the green light until in November of 2017, I ended up getting the job. I don't remember the year exactly, to be honest, but a couple years ago, I got the job. I got the job at an American studio, one of the big 6, I want to say, that makes films and TV shows and all that good jazz, as part of their digital marketing department. And it's been really great so far. I worked there for about a year, and my lease in LA had ended. And luckily, since we were working remote, they had an office in the Bay Area where I had asked to relocate to, because I've always had a really great impression of the Bay Area growing up, where I used to live in Salinas, near the Monterey Bay when I was a kid. And I just wanted to live in the area once to see what it was like, because I always had fond memories, and it worked out. The manager said, yeah, you can go ahead, just continue to show up at the office in the city and you'll be good to go. Which to me, I'm just like, why wouldn't I go? I'm working at a new job, I'm giving a new manager with great opportunities, the position is still remote, so it's a win all around. And I ended up making it I ended up living in the Bay for about 9 months, which was the length of my friend's lease who had the apartment at the time. And it was fun. It was really great hanging out with old college friends. We went to go out and eat. We went on vacation together. We tried out new locations, restaurants in the city and around the Bay Area, and just also meeting up old friends from college that I had lost contact with. It was nice. It was a really good experience, but at the end of the year, I realized that the Bay just kind of wasn't my vibe that I thought it was back when I was a kid. It really changed a lot. And I came to realize too that after all those years of working in LA, I grew to become very familiar with the area, the people, the food, just the scene in general, and it felt more comfortable. So once that ended, I moved back down. No. Once the lease ended at my apartment in the Bay Area, I had the opportunity to move back down to SoCal, which I did momentarily. I moved back to my family's home so that I would be closer to the office as well as my family in Arizona, because I had originally bought a house during the pandemic days and have had it incomplete. So now I'm also trying to fully renovate the space so that I can rent it out or just stay there long term. Not too sure. But that is what I've been doing so far. I'm based out of LA and Arizona, jumping between both states when there's time to do these projects. And I just hope that made sense. Looking back at this audio, I hope it did make sense, because yikes. But yeah, now I'm currently on vacation in Korea, and I've been trying to film new footage for my next episode. Okay, I am dipping that brush into that dirty water. Yeah, so meeting old friends, eating good food, and the fashion here in Korea is nice to look at. I'm not gonna say that look at that metallic coloring, it's amazing. It looks like satin sheets, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, it's a lot of fun to come, and I've been coming here for the last 10 years, and I really recommend it. I recommend it a lot. I just hope that I've been able to capture good enough footage to share with everybody, so that it makes sense as to why I come. It's not just because like I love the cold, since I come every winter. It's really the food, the friends, and the memories that I keep coming back to. So I hope to have captured that in the next set of videos that I will be uploading within the coming days. Yeah, so I think that's most of the video that I have for today. This is just definitely a very rough cut and a rough edit so that I can get into the mood to upload videos. I hope that you liked it and it made sense. If you guys have any comments, please make sure to leave them below so I can kind of take notes and make sure to make it better. But in the meantime, hope you take care, and I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Bye.